Good morning from Okoboji and the Iowa Great Lakes. I'm Kirk Stoss with Stoss Realty, and I am here with Mary Dreyer, and we are at the Abbie Gardner cabin area, and I want Mary to explain and tell you all about the cool things that are going on first this afternoon, and then second, all the area, what's going on with the whole Abbie Gardner Sharp scenario up here. So Mary, get us going here.
Well, I'm so glad to be here. This is one of my favorite places on earth, Kirk. And to be able to talk to you here makes it even more special. So thank you for that. This afternoon is a big woo deal. The State Historical Society of Iowa is putting on an open house here at the cabin and inside the museum here and on the grounds. There will be people here from the State Historical Society. There's also a gentleman coming from Montana who has been working on the interpretive plan for the site. And the reason for this is that this story is so big and has so many facets to it, which we'll talk about in a bit. We want to get everybody's ideas and dreams of what this space could be.
How cool!
How cool!
So what time are there time frames if people want to come? What this afternoon? What should people do?
The open house is from 12 to 6.
Okay.
And staff will be on site during those hours. At 2 o'clock, there will be docent-led tours. At 4 o'clock, Jonathan Reed and I are speaking from the Dickinson County Museum about Abbie Gardner, about her life here, and Jonathan's going to be updating us on what the changes were in the in the Pillsbury Point area in the years that Abbie came back to live here.
Oh,
the changes
how cool.
in this area. So that's going to be awesome. I'm so glad he's
good.
willing to do that.
So if you are out and about, as the saying goes, stop by. This is really going to be a big deal this afternoon.
And we want to hear your voice. You know, Abbie's voice began being heard with the publishing of her book in 1885 that she wrote, and then used the funds from that book, from the sales of that book, to purchase back the cabin.
Yes.
And that's when people started remembering Abbie and noticing her. And we want her voice to be expanded now, 100 years later. She died in 1921, so I guess it's actually 101 years later.
Okay.
We want to expand her voice and to carry on the tradition of her voice and her stories and her thoughts about her story, which is so much
amazing.
more, so
She's
much
an
more
amazing
than
woman.
exactly.
Amazing.
And it's not just the massacre.
Oh, right.
I mean, that is
The single event.
That's the portal that kind of takes us into her life story. But there's so much more. I mean, basically we know she was 13 when her family came here from New York State. They had spent some time in Ohio and Illinois and Shell Rock, Iowa and Clear Lake, Iowa. Before they landed here, her dad was kind of a wanderlust sort of guy and he loved the water, so that's why they ended up here. They came in July of 56, and the massacre was in March of 57. So, you know, they had these hopes and dreams that weren't realized. Massacre happened. Abbie was 13. She was held captive for 80 to 90 days. Released in June, married in August. Now, we don't know if she was 13 or 14 when she was married, but that's pretty darn young.
Sure.
And so she had an interesting early life, especially with everything that happened while she was in captivity and, of course, the massacre events. But, you know, she had 2 children. She came back here. She bought the cabin back in the late 1891, I believe it was. And she came back here and she made a business for herself, as we can see in this great photo back
This
here.
is a photo of the cabin. So if you come, you're going to be able to walk in here and see this.
Well, it doesn't look quite like this now,
but this is when she had it.
But this is Abbie used the cabin as a museum and a place to tell her stories, and she made a living for herself by coming back here and doing this work. She was also a lobbyist. Did you know that?
You know, I did not know that. Really?
You know the monument that's out here?
Right.
That's here because of Abbie.
Oh, you know what? I think I did know that. I think I remember hearing that one.
She went to the state legislature in
Uh-huh.
1891. I think maybe it was 1892. In that time frame anyway, and she lobbied for the creation of that monument, for the funds for that, and she got it, by
Wow.
golly. Can you imagine a woman in the early 1890s
No.
going to the state legislature to lobby for funds
Uh-uh.
for something like this?
So, and that's the other
She did
thing,
it.
folks. If you've not been here, it's not just the museum or the cabin. There's a whole section of grounds here and interesting things to walk around and see.
And there are trees.
Oh, yes.
And there are trees that remember the story.
Yeah.
And if you get up close to those trees, they might help you remember a story too.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. We hope you can come.
Good. So come if you can. And if you can't make it this time, at some point when you're around the lake, you need to come over and walk the grounds over here. It's in Arnold's Park, just behind, I'm going to say Pillsbury Point, west of the amusement park.
Yep.
You can't miss it if you get driving over here. So come over and enjoy it. It's a fabulous piece of our history around here.
It's really what started our
It is.
history
It
here in
is.
this area.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you, Kirk.
Wonderful.
This was great fun.
Wonderful,
I enjoyed
as
it a lot.
always.